So the season is over. The 49ers just fell to the Tampa Buccaneers yesterday in a showdown for the NFC for the 1 seed in the NFC. Unfortunately, the Niners would lose 19-30. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they just came to play. Both teams pretty banged up, and both teams got banged up during the game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers would lose star receiver Emeka Egbuka, and of course the 49ers, I want to say the story of the game, would lose linebacker Fred Warner. I had to rock the jersey. For Mr. Fred. What a heartbreaker, man. Fred Warner had only missed, one game throughout his entire season. And now he takes a devastating ankle injury. He played all last year on a broken ankle. But this one, man, he dislocated it. He's going to need surgery, and he's out for the rest of the season. And it just, losing two all-pros on the defense side of the ball, it just absolutely gutted. It took me so long to want to record this video because it's just like, what's the point? Fred Warner was such a huge piece to this team, not just defensively, but the team culture in general. It sounded like the locker room was, rightfully so, very sorrow after the fact, after the game. Not just because of the loss, but I think that the loss of Fred hurt more than the loss of the game, frankly. You would rather lose this game with Fred than lose both. Just such a great player, maybe an even better person. I've never met him personally, but from what I've heard, man, the defense just instantly took an impact. You felt his presence missing as soon as he was out. Now that's Fred and that's Nick Bosa gone for the rest of the season. Two huge blows, man. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what curse is on this team. But yeah, just you gotta hope Fred comes back and he's ready to go next year, man, because it's just heartbreaking. I don't even have the words for it. Let's move on. Let's talk about the rest of the game. Let's talk about the offense. Mac Jones, pretty clearly had his worst game as a starter with the 49ers. He still threw for over 300 yards, but no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, one of them coming in the opening drive. And it was just a bad one. The Buccaneers defender played it really well. Could have been a pick six, but he couldn't find his footing. And this was after a really good defensive stop. So that sucked. And then the last one came, ironically, on the last drive. So he started the game with a pick, ended the game on a pick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, again, just read him perfectly. They baited him like a book. They baited like they were playing the underneath defender, Jake Tonjes, he was open. If Mac Jones had thrown it to Tonjes, we get a first down, we continue playing. But he tried to go over top to Jawan Jennings on a 4th and medium, and Jamal Dean extends, and he gets the pick to seal the game for the Buccaneers. So that was a heartbreaker. And I saw that a lot with Mac. He was going for a lot of money shots on those 3rd and 4th downs, which, it could work. But what I really liked about Mac is that he wasn't playing hero ball a lot of the times. He was playing it safe. He would take the check downs, take the open man, but he missed a lot of open men on that 4th down, that final 4th down. That would have continued the game. It would have extended the game. Niners would have had another chance. And it's not like the Niners didn't have a chance to win this game, despite Fred Warner going down. They had the ball with time left. They had a missed field goal. The Buccaneers missed a field goal. 49ers had a chance to drive downfield and put up 8 points to tie the game. So that was pretty ridiculous. Another thing about Mac is that, he got so banged up against the Rams. His knee, his ribs, he had an oblique injury coming into this game. He was so banged up, but you could tell. You can tell. He just couldn't move in the pocket. He was a statue. And in this game especially, you could see that Tampa Bay, on those obvious passing downs when they can just pin their ears back and rush the quarterback, they did so. That pocket was collapsing like this. Which is another note, the offensive line, not very good. Somehow, some way, they're always ranked at the top. I don't understand how. I don't know what metrics these people are using. But the interior, Dominic Pooney was just getting dominated by Vita Vea. And yes, Vita Vea is a strong, dominant player. But man, you have to be able to stop him a little bit, or at least call a double. There was no way Vita Vea was eating through these double teams. There's no way Vita Vea should be able to do that. Dominic Pooney, I don't know if he's playing through an injury or what's going on, but he has taken a clear regression since last year. Jake Brendel, man, he gets no push in the run game. He gets eaten up alive in the pass game. I mean, there needs to be serious conversations about him getting replaced next year, maybe sooner. I'm not too sure why he's still the starting center. And left guard Connor Colby, he's a rookie. He's young, so it's hard to put too much blame on him. Obviously, he's going to make mistakes, and it doesn't help that the vets next to him aren't that good. Brendel and Pooney back on the inside. Obviously, Trent Williams is Trent Williams. And speaking on Trent and Colton McKivitz, frankly, both the tackles, they're solid. They're all right. They're average, above average. This is, again, Trent is getting older. He's getting on the older side. People are suspecting that he retires next year. We'll see how that plays about. He isn't that dominant beast at this point. He's getting kind of bull rushed. He's getting a little older, and that's okay. You have to start thinking about his replacement. Colton McKivitz is playing some solid football, but even he gets beat at times. This team gave up 6 sacks, man, and that's just horrid. It was a game like this where you really notice the difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks against pressure. I remember his first game against Tampa Bay. They were sending the heat, and he was donning them up. He was calm, cool under the pressure. And so it's a game like this where you think, Brock Purdy, this game feels a little different. I know people weren't thinking that with how Mac Jones has been performing, but yeah, it was something like this where, okay, Brock Purdy probably would have performed better against the Buccaneers defense with the poor O-line play. And that's just the unfortunate truth, I want to say. Let's talk about the receivers. Kendrick Bourne had another big game after his big Thursday night performance, 5 catches for 142 yards. Christian McCaffrey got his first rushing touchdown, picked up 54 yards on the ground and 57 through the air, so he's still being that kind of slot receiver type guy, which is, I think it's cool. Juwan Jennings, man, we need to have a serious conversation about Juwan Jennings because I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's a mental thing. He had 1 catch for 7 yards, but he was getting targeted a decent amount. And before halftime, there was some argument with Jennings and Shanahan, and it got heated on that sideline. I don't know who Jennings thinks he is. I get it. He's playing through some injuries. I think everybody is. Trent Williams pointed that out. And, there's some talks that, Jennings may get traded. We'll see how true that is. But with Ayuk coming back, Pearsall coming back, with Kendrick Bourne basically overtaking Jennings' role as that reliable guy, Demarcus Robinson even looking solid. He only had 2 catches for 44 yards. I would love to see Robinson fill in Jennings' role at the moment. Honestly, like Jennings, if you're injured, don't play. And if you are playing, you got to give your 100%. He just kind of gets lost out there. I feel like I haven't had a really impressive Jennings play in forever. I don't even think he's third in Juwan anymore. Frankly, Kendrick Bourne is overtaking that third down role. So you love to see Bourne stepping up here. Another guy that's stepping up, Jake Tonjes. With the absence of George Kittle, Jake Tonjes has been a very solid tight end. He had 6 catches for 58 yards. And he's getting like those designed tight end screens and such. He's looked like a very quality tight end, at least a backup. So I'm going to be very excited to see both Tonjes and Kittle on the field. Kittle with his run blocking ability, but both those guys as receiving threats is going to be nice. So, Tonjes and Bourne with all these injury mishaps and such, I'm happy that those guys have stepped up big time. You would love to see a guy like Jennings step up during this time, but he's got some other things going on. So we'll see what happens with Jennings, but he's probably going to end up in the doghouse, let's be quite frank. Let's move on to the defense. Oh, man, and I mentioned it in the beginning of the show. No Fred Warner, no defense, frankly. I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. Tatum Bethune fills in his role, and D. Winters is linebacker 1. But, man, you could just see the difference of everybody on the field not knowing where to go. Those after Fred got down, there was like 2 or 3 busted coverages. There was Baker Mayfield's 3rd and 14 run. I don't know if that happens with heat-seeking missile Fred Warner coming in. It should have just been a sack. Bryce Huff was there. Everybody was there. Baker Mayfield should have got taken down. But instead, he breaks a tackle, and he somehow rushes for 15, 16 yards and picks up the first down on a 3rd down. I mean, what are we doing? That was pretty embarrassing. The secondary played all right. You wish they played better. Again, there was a lot of blown coverages in the safety room. Malik Mustafa made his debut, but he was kind of on a snap count. Marquise Sigel blew a lot of coverages. Jair Brown blew some coverages. It wasn't a great performance at all. Still no interceptions. Longest streak in NFL history. What is it, like 14, 15 games now? I mean, this team had no Ibuka, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. But yet Baker Mayfield was finding guys wide open. That should not happen. And it starts with the pass rush. Again, still lackluster. It's been a problem since Bosa went down. And nothing's been done to address it. And at this point, it's like, is it worth it to address it? Now, Michael Williams did get his first sack. So that is big. That is exciting. You love to see him stepping up. But man, without a star that's really there to wreak havoc, everybody else is their job gets harder. It's not great. And especially against a guy like Baker Mayfield, when you're not going to pressure him, he's going to make you pay. He's going to dot you up. He's going to find the open man. And that's exactly what happened. He was finding Sterling Shepard. He was finding all this and that. And guys were just getting open. And I do think, obviously Fred Warner not being there played a part in it. Point blank period. But also, okay, our captain is down. Let's go out there and let's play even harder. Let's play for him. Let's make him proud. The game wasn't over when Fred was down. All in all, the defense will be bad without Fred, unless if a move is made. I'll probably talk about trade candidates in a later video just to see if it's even going to be worth it. Because right now, okay, you're 4-2. The season's not over. It's a long season. We're only 6 weeks in. You're still number 1 in the division. Hey, if you win the division, that's an automatic playoff ticket. You're still number 1. So technically, you're still in the playoffs. And you have the tiebreaker currently over the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals. The Seahawks and Rams, more importantly so, because they have the same record. The Cardinals, they seem dead in the water at this point. So it's not over. Season's not over. You could still compete with some trades, but you have to be aggressive, and you have to prove that you guys are going to compete. The positive, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and George Kittle all back next week. The offense is getting healthier. Obviously, defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner won't be back, but you could fill those roles with some flex seal. You call up some new guys. Trey Henderson, a guy that a lot of people want, he got hurt with a back injury. Now, is he even worth it to trade for? I don't think so. I don't think you take that risk at this moment, but you wait on how severe that is. A linebacker that could be potentially out there, Demario Davis. I'm just throwing these names out, but I will have an official trade candidate video soon. So be prepared for that. But if no move is made, it's going to be a long season. It's going to get ugly. The offense, they could be back and healthy, but they're going to have to score like 24 plus points because of the defense. They're going to have to drag this team out of games. And, we'll see if they're built for that. But it'll be interesting to see how Shanahan and John Lynch go about for the rest of the season. I'm glad the offense is getting healthier, but this was a tough loss. Against a tough opponent. Baker Mayfield, heck of a game. But, they were also banged up. We had a really good chance to punch our ticket into the 1 seed into the NFC and kind of be able to control our own destiny. At this point, we still kind of do. You just got to win your games and get healthier. We got the Atlanta Falcons next week. Sunday Night Football, prime time. Some of the boys are back. Let's get ready to put on a show. You got to have short-term memory. Throw this loss away. Actually, a silver lining I forgot to mention here. Eddie Pinheiro. We got a kicker, man. We got a legit kicker. He's been 100% on field goals. He was, 3 for 3? 4 for 4 against Tampa Bay. So you love to see him being 100% since he signed with the 49ers. So that's a silver lining. We have found a kicker. And even he almost got hurt. A lineman stepped on his foot, and I thought he was done. Luckily, he wasn't. So silver lining to end the video. We got a kicker. Folks, that'll do it for the Week 6 wrap-up. I recap. I know it was maybe a little lower energy than you're used to. Mr. Fred Warner is gone. Hopefully he's back and healthy, though, soon. And, man, just a heartbreaker. Just a heartbreaking loss. It was a double whammy. You lose Fred, you lose the game. It is what it is, folks. Short-term memory. On to the Falcons. You gotta throw away. You can't live in the past. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Gold Rush, folks. Take a look in the description below with all my other social medias. Leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think. I love interacting with y'all. Alrighty, folks. I will see y'all in the next one. Have a good one. Peace out.